The arrival of the five elders is observed by all across the island amidst the ongoing battle. In a video clip, Dr. Vegapunk efficiently brews coffee with his latest invention, leaving 7 minutes until the broadcast officially begins after a mere 3-minute preparation. Dr. Vegapunk confidently remarks that any attempt to interrupt his broadcast won't be sufficient to thwart it. The elders reveal themselves before Luffy, disclosing their names and forms. Nushjuro swiftly detects the pacifista assaulting the Marines and transforms into his hybrid form, charging at incredible speed to slash the cyborgs. His rapid movements go unnoticed by the besieged Marines, though reports flood the airwaves about a large horse swiftly incapacitating the pacifista. To the Marines' amazement, the pacifista are not sliced but partially frozen, rendering them immobile. Consequently, half of the pacifista are neutralized, prompting celebrations among the Marines as they can now refocus on capturing Bonnie. Meanwhile, Mars takes flight, assaulting the Frontier Dome while Sanji urgently attempts to reach his crew to instruct them to flee immediately. Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter engage Luffy in combat, with Jupiter delving underground. Jupiter emerges from beneath Luffy and swallows him whole. However, Dory and Broggy arrive just in time, beheading Jupiter and liberating Luffy. Luffy is astonished by the giant's presence, as they reveal they grew weary of waiting for him in Elbaf and opted to fetch him instead. Mars bursts through the Frontier Dome, catching sight of Jinbei in the distance, who is appalled by the strength of Mars Haki. Meanwhile, Mercury and Saturn are taken aback by the giant's sudden appearance, but Luffy urges them to flee rather than fight. Dory informs Luffy that they were instructed by Sanji to meet him on the other side of the island, and they came to his rescue after seeing him surrounded on the news. Mercury attempts to prevent their escape with a powerful burst of Haushiko Haki, causing Luffy to lose several items, including his hat and cuffs. As the giants help Luffy recover, he warns them of the magnitude of their opponent. Mercury launches an attack, but Dory and Broggy intervene with their defensive technique, the Svalin Sun Shield. Despite Saturn's warning that siding with Luffy will lead to their erasure from history, the giants stand by their friend and counterattack with Skilja Split. Luffy, improvising with a tree-turned bat, deflects Saturn's venom volleys back at him and Mercury, causing an explosion. Dory receives word that the ensuing flames will block off the forest, signaling their opportunity to leave. Luffy insists that Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter must not be killed, and indeed, the trio begins to regenerate from their wounds. Though puzzled by their adversaries' resilience, Dory and Broggy consider their retreat a triumph. Jupiter's body has completely reformed and initiates a powerful suction force, creating a massive vortex that impedes the movement of the giants and Luffy. To halt Jupiter, Luffy tears off a section of a building and thrusts it into Jupiter's gaping maw, successfully halting the vortex. With this obstacle overcome, Luffy's Gear 5 finally exhausts its energy, causing him to revert to an elderly state from the prior food consumption. Upon learning of Luffy's condition, Broggy offers him some of their emergency sustenance, known as Hakarl. Despite its unpleasant odor, Luffy consumes it all, revitalizing his strength. As Mercury advances towards them, Luffy counters with the Gomu Gomu no Red Rock technique, delivering a powerful blow to Mercury's head. However, to Luffy's dismay, Mercury's resilience exceeds his expectations, causing him to recoil in pain. Dory, Broggy, and Luffy, who is once again transformed into his Gear 5 form, continue to flee as the fire spreads across the island and Mercury relentlessly chases them. Despite Broggy's warnings that his attacks are ineffective, Luffy persists in fighting Mercury. Confident that his next move will make an impact, Luffy delivers another punch. This time, Mercury recoils in pain, showing that Luffy's determination is starting to have an effect. Nami contacts Jinbei and asks if he is almost at the ship, and he reports he is, but he is also chasing Nushjuro. Nami at first thinks he is taking a detour, but Jinbei corrects her, saying Nushjuro is heading straight for the ship. As Nushjuro is about to attack the ship, Jinbei uses Kataguruma to throw Zoro at Nushjuro, where he then uses two-sword style, Restful Paradise Rashomon to intercept Nushjuro. While their blades clash, both recognize the opposing Kitetsu before the two repel each other. Zoro tells the others to take off, and that the two of them will jump on. Down on the northeast coast of the island, Bonnie is calling for Luffy while the Marines have surrounded the giant's ship. Luffy yells very loudly that he is almost there, and for them to get the ship moving. Luffy, who is back to normal again, notices that Warcury has stopped chasing the three of them, which the giants are relieved to hear. It turns out he did so to meet up with Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter to engage the Iron Giant. Warcury tackles the Iron Giant, knocking it down while at the same time jamming the signal and ending the broadcast. York falls to her knees, relieved that the message has finally stopped. The giant warrior pirates defend against Saturn's onslaught. Luffy prepares for another attack, but pauses upon seeing Bonnie recover and transform back into her Gear 5 imitation. Instead of attacking, he deflects one of Saturn's legs that were aimed at her. As Bonnie ascends into the air, Luffy encourages her to attack Saturn herself. Bonnie shouts at Saturn, declaring she wants to settle the score with him while Luffy continues to fend off his attacks. With memories of Saturn's cruelty toward Kuma and Ginny flooding her mind, Bonnie angrily and tearfully condemns Saturn and the other 5 elders as false gods. However, she asserts that true gods and heroes do exist. Despite her longing to live with her parents as a family, she resolves to honor their wishes and keep living. Together, Bonnie and Luffy unleash powerful simultaneous attacks on Saturn, blasting him to pieces and sending him plummeting toward the ocean. The crowd cheers, Kuma smiles, and everyone then notices the Thousand Sunny descending from the sky. Warcury attacks Emmett again. This time the transmission Din Din Mushi is destroyed and Vegapunk's broadcast ends abruptly. Nustro is still running after the Thousand Sunny. Saturn is on the shore, regenerating after Luffy and Bonnie combo attack. Jupiter, Warcury, and Nustro are about to jump together at Elbaf's ship and the Thousand Sunny. But Emmett grabs something that is near its waist, and then he thinks about Joy Boy. Emmet asks Luffy for his name, and upon hearing Monkey D. Luffy, Emmett reacts strongly to the D. Emmet then unties a knot inside his body, releasing a burst of giant black lightnings, causing most Marines to faint. Luffy, in shock, recognizes it as Conqueror's Haki. Emmett thanks Luffy for reminding him of a nostalgic rhythm and releases an even more massive Conqueror's Haki attack that affects the entire Egghead Island, with huge black lightnings and the sea shaking. Emmett pleads with Luffy not to die, while Vice Admirals barely resist the powerful Haki, unsure of its source. All 5 Elder members on the island are knocked back and revert to their human forms due to Emmet's attack. Afterward, Jupiter, Warcury, and Nustro return to Mary Joie, while Saturn remains on Egghead Island. In the Room of Authority, Jupiter, Warcury, and Nustro are panting, and Mars is already there, likely due to Luffy's attack. In the Room of Flowers, Emu is kneeling and screaming, thinking of Joy Boy. A servant is concerned for Emu. The Thousand Sunny lands on the sea and sails away from Egghead Island, accompanied by an Elbaf ship. Everyone on both ships is in shock, wondering where all the monsters have gone. The giants are confused, questioning how a robot can use Haki and why it made people disappear. On Egghead's shore, the remains of Emmett lie on the ground in front of Saturn.